How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for being here. I didn't go for very long in this one because I haven't eaten anything yet. I just got home from work. I need to edit this as soon as I'm done recording and eating. But I do want to remind you guys, if you are here listening to the podcast, please be sure to like the podcast, follow it wherever you get your podcasts from, wherever you download them, and share it as well. Leave a review, share the podcast, no matter how many followers you have. It helps me out immensely if you just click the share button and post it somewhere. Just the algorithm helps out a lot if you do that. And if you're watching, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so that you will be notified when we post a brand new video like this or when we go live, which we do quite often. And if you would like to help out monetarily at all, you can tip Frankie with a link in the description, or you can just become a member on the YouTube channel or the Patreon, and you'll get access to a lot of exclusive content that doesn't get posted anywhere else. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. There was a cool video of a very, very, very famous comedian bringing up another very, very, very famous comedian the other day. No material gets posted or anywhere like that. But things like that, comics bringing each other up, it's a pretty cool thing. So if you guys want to see anything like that, go check that out on the Patreon or the YouTube membership. I'm not going to hold you guys up. I talked about a really cool show that I did yesterday live in person, and it is called Local Sets ATX. And the link to that episode that I'm on is in the description of this as well. I encourage you to watch it and get a little bit more of an idea of what my original music is like and hear the stories behind the songs as well. Even if you've already watched it, watch it again. Throw it back. Let's run the views up on this thing. I really want to show out on the views on this thing because I wasn't able to bring a whole lot of people in person to this because I just don't have a huge IRL following. But hopefully that'll change soon, and maybe playing more original music out might end up resulting in that changing. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys get to it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast if you're doing audio, share, review, all of these things. It helps me out a lot, and thank you guys so much, and welcome to, I believe, episode number 10 of Yonder Talks. Enjoy it, folks. So I did a really cool thing last night, and it's something that I don't ever get the opportunity to do a lot, which I'm really excited about being able to have done. And so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So when I first decided that I was moving to Austin, and I didn't really have any idea of oh, there we go. There's a Java update available in case you guys are wondering. When I first got to Austin or decided I was moving here, my intentions were to make my day job the same thing that it was back home. I was just going to play songs, except I had intended on doing all original stuff. I wanted to come here and, back home I had made a, back home I kind of made a name for myself doing covers and such. And, I wanted to change that when I got to Austin, but the only problem is I realized that my originals aren't hype. They aren't very hype, if you get what I mean. They don't exactly get the crowd going, which I think is I'm aware of a lot of bands in the area, and the one common denominator to all the bands that I'm aware of is all of them pretty much get the crowd hyped up and they get everybody going. And my originals don't necessarily do that. I have a couple that can, but it's not really in my style to lean on the groove or lean on the music so much as it is to lead lyrically, which is a thing that I am pretty proud of about my original music. But it's the kind of thing that I also don't share much for obvious reasons, because a lot of the times when I do music these days, more often than not, it's, comics asking me, hey, do you want to open up this comedy show, do 30 minutes at the top, and then bring up the first comic? And usually I'm like, yeah, 100% I'll do that. The only issue is I am kind of, my hands are tied, which I have to do cover songs, because those are the kind of things that people want. They want to hear songs that they already know, that they can sing along to and have a good time with. And I don't think that my music is good for that sort of thing. So continuing on the backtrack tip, when I decided I was going to move here, that was my plan, was I was going to do all of these original songs, and it was going to be a thing, like I was going to like have a different identity out here musically. We're back home, I'm the request covers guy. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there were people back home who knew my originals and like listened to my music and appreciated it. But there were a lot more people who liked to hear the covers that I did, and that's just a thing. So the thing that I got to do yesterday really reminded me that I need to not worry so much about how people are going to accept my music and just play it. Because I did a set at a thing called Local Sets, ATX, Local SETS, Local Sets, ATX. And it was a lot of fun. So what that is basically there will be an artist, and this artist will play their music, and then after the song, there's like a interview portion. So it's almost like Kill Tony, but instead of doing a minute, and instead of doing it pull it out of a bucket, instead of doing a minute, there is you do a single song, and then all of a sudden it's an interview portion where you either talk about the song, you break it down, your inspiration on writing it or whatever, or they just ask a few questions that they had already decided they were going to ask, which was I love stuff like that. I really like breaking down the songs that I've written, and I had a really good time with the guy who hosted it, Reed. And shout out to the great Joe White, who takes all the pictures for Kill Tony. If you've ever watched or ever seen any of the Kill Tony pictures on the Comedy Mothership Instagram page or from way back, Joe White is the guy who took those pictures more often than not. But yeah, he actually lined that up for me, and it was really cool. He was there taking some pictures of the situation, and it was a lot of fun, man. I really, my buddy Greg DePaul, the Great and Powerful, he works with me over at Sunset Strip, but also just an incredible Austin comic. I love Greg. He was the co-host with Reed on the panel for the interview portions. And it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I know I've said that a lot, but I got the opportunity to play my original songs and show a different side of myself to people. Not a lot of people would, with the way that I present myself, I think, especially comedically, and in life, I guess, I don't think that people expect the sort of lyrics I come with when I come with them. And I realize that because Greg, who has seen me do comedy and he's never seen the original stuff, he's seen the Secret Show pre-shows, he's seen me do my thing before the comedy show starts, but he's never heard me do any of my songs. And he said one time during the interview, and by the way, this is all live streamed and you can see it out there. I'll actually drop a link to it in the description of this episode. But he said, as someone who has seen both things, that they're worlds apart. They're completely different, and it's apparent. But I got to do those songs and then explain the situation or what I had in mind when I wrote it, and I also would set them all up nicely, which I think is the best way to consume my music, is with a description. So it almost kind of spawned an idea that I think I would like to do in a show of original music where I play my own songs, but it would be like a storytelling show. Like, it would be like I would tell a story that would lead me into a song, and I wouldn't try to be funny. Certainly funny things would occur because I don't think I can help it a lot of the time. But I would like to do like serious music with serious stories, and I really want to reach that emotion that makes you not forget. The kind of thing that sort of forces you to remember it. And those things, like a song that makes you cry or moves you to the point of that level of emotion, is what I've always wanted to accomplish. Like, I think there's is it a Wilco song, I'm trying to make you cry, or I want to, or something like that. I feel that way is what I mean about my music, is I want it to invoke such emotion that you can't forget it. And I kind of got a little confirmation on that in that show yesterday, which was really awesome. They had some very nice things to say. They did compare me to a couple of artists that I was very proud to have been compared to. A few people. One guy said Jamie Johnson, who is an incredible songwriter that I love. He wrote an incredible song In Color. But he also wrote Troubadour, who George Strait recorded Troubadour. Jamie wrote that song. I was a young troubadour and I wrote in on a song, and I'll be an old troubadour when I'm gone. But a troubadour, nonetheless. So I like to be counted amongst that. But one guy was like, man, I'm feeling some Coulter Wall vibes on that. Was there some inspiration behind that? And it was one of my proudest moments, and it might have come off in a weird way, and I didn't intend for that. But one of my proudest moments was this sounds like Coulter Wall. Was there some inspiration from him? And I was like, well, fun fact, I actually wrote this song in 2016. And so technically, if we're going to play that game, Coulter Wall may have drawn inspiration from me more so than me him. And it's incredible. And I love Coulter Wall. He's an incredible songwriter, and he really gets it. But it was a really proud moment for me to be able to say, hey man, I've been doing this the whole time. I've been doing this since the beginning, man. Like, this is just how I write, and this is how I play, and I enjoy I just enjoy the darkness of that songwriting style. If anything, I was more inspired by Jason Isbell, I believe, which I should have mentioned, but I didn't. But yeah, it was just really cool. Some folks compare me to Chris Stapleton, which I'll accept. I like Chris. He's I don't like the mainstream Tennessee whiskey, but he's an incredible songwriter in his own right, outside of that cover that he's mostly famous for. But yeah, man, it really kind of opened my eyes a little bit that people out there in the world may enjoy the shit that I have going on. People out there might like the music that I've written. And I think that I've sort of been being a little too hard on myself in the past about that reality, because I find it very easy to translate someone else's song into my style. But I find it more terrifying to do something that comes from my heart and soul, that people in a room that may be there to just drink, or maybe there to see a comedy show, or they're there for something other than me, you know? If they're there for anything other than me, I don't want to shove my music down their throat. And the argument could be made, oh, well, you never know. There could be somebody out there that really needs to hear that, or somebody out there that could do something for your career. There could be something out there or someone out there who just quite simply needs to hear the song that you wrote. And where that is true, I'm so afraid of putting myself out there like that. And it's almost like a kid who sits in his room all day and works on this thing and then brings it out and says, hey, look, I made you a thing. And they're like, oh, nice, bud. And just sit it on a table. And it's like, but you don't understand. Like, I put this thing here and I did this thing over here. And it's like, and I'm so excited about it or whatever. But they're like, hey, we're here for a comedy show. Or they're like, hey, we're here to eat and drink. Play wagon wheel. Let me put a quarter in the jukebox. You know, like play for me, dummy. Dance, monkey. That's how it feels to me. But I will say that I absolutely adore my songs. And if I try to share them with someone who doesn't share that sentiment, then I get depressingly offended. And I it's almost like a wall that I've built around my music. And I really need to tear that wall down and just get my music out there in a bigger way than I'm doing currently. But I'm in a weird spot. It's like I'll post something and it gets like hardly any reactions. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm posting the wrong sort of thing because the algorithm doesn't like me. And I'm not really getting the sort of reaction that I'm looking for on these things that I put out there. And then that leads me to think, okay, well, people are just sick of me. They're sick of seeing me all the time, even on the internet. Because when I get out there in the world, it seems like everybody who knows me wants to stop and speak whenever they see me, no matter who that may be. From from just the comics that I know, my peers, to established comedians that don't have to stop and speak for anybody. They still seem to give me a moment of their time quite often, and that's something in real life that I need to focus more on than this bullshit of like, oh well, this post isn't getting any traction, because a version of me is living in the phone, and I don't like that. But I am also a child of technology. I was very much an inside kid, and I got a computer very early in my life, and I grew up with it. And then somewhere along the way, I was gifted the internet within that learning period of my life, while already knowing my way around a computer pretty much. Then I was gifted the internet. And man, that was just as good as it is. The internet being the largest telephone pole in the world that you can post all the flyers on that you need. Everybody's doing that, and a lot of these things, like Instagram, doesn't like it. I don't think Instagram likes it when you use their platform to try to like drum people up to go somewhere. So it ends up resulting in a lot of unnecessary emotion, a lot of unnecessary negative emotion. And I don't think that's healthy for me. So I really just need to get out of the phone and get out there and live life for real a little more. Because there are people that I'm sure that I'm sure I'd have a good time, and I'm sure I would. Yeah, I'm sure I'd have a good time, and I'm sure that people would be happy to have me around. That's not the issue, but I just think that getting to that point, like making sure that making sure that I maintain a certain level of comfort takes precedent over everything else. And that makes me sad. That makes me a little sad. That I would like to maybe do these things, but I don't necessarily possess the wherewithal to initiate well, not even initiate. Like, people want me to hang out all the time. I get invited to do things a lot. And I always just shut it down immediately. I shut down any possibility of me going immediately so that no one's upset when I don't show up. 'Cause I don't want to disappoint anybody. I'd rather disappoint them by being fully honest than disappoint them by lying to them and not coming through on something that I said that I would do. But I got away from the point that I was initially making in all of this, which is I need to get out there more and put my music out there a little more, because like I said, I have so much, and I didn't realize how much I have until I was looking through it all to decide which ones I was going to play. And I looked through and I'm like, man, there's a lot of songs here. Like, even recorded, I've got probably, I don't know, 30 recorded, and I've got maybe 40 to 50 that are in the either never became anything more than just a thought, or that haven't been recorded yet and are written just in the waiting. But it was a nice, because I never play these songs and I never really revisit them, and I rarely ever go back and play through them again, because sometimes I've listened to them because I'll be proud of the production quality and no, not the quality even, because the quality's not great. I'm not a great producer, but I'll go back and give it a listen just to see and remember the process of sitting down and editing the audio or whatever, or recording and putting things where they need to go, and just layering track after track after track, and just grabbing different instruments and plugging other things into, like, oh, wonder what a banjo would sound like on a rock groove. Like, that would be neat. And that was in Where's My Monster, and I didn't even do Where's My Monster. But yeah, I got some nice comments from the people who were there, and I got the folks that watched the live stream. They all had really nice things to say, and I got to showcase a part of myself that I protect. And I said something in that live stream that was something that I never thought of before. That was like, as much time as I've spent in doing the music thing as Kelsey Hudgens, Yonder is way more famous or way more popular than Kelsey Hudgens was or is. And it's insane. Just because I was on Kill Tony a handful of times comedically and also played music up there, everybody associates that thing with Yonder, and Yonder is like way astronomically more popular than Kelsey Hudgens. No one knows about the original music, and honestly, not a lot of people even know me as Kelsey Hudgens, but that's who I was for 34 years before I moved to Austin. And yeah, it's kind of surreal in a way to know that just doing a Kill Tony a few times put me to where I am now as the comic and musician that they know from Kill Tony. But I really want to figure out a better way to shine the light on the original music that I have. And I'm not exactly proud of all of the recordings that I did. Like, the songs, to be honest, like, if you listen to my album, That Way Lies Madness, I recorded every single one of those songs myself in my apartment. I produced them. I played all the instruments. And if you just go through and listen to the album from start to finish, like, not all of the songs are on the same volume level as the other ones. Not all of them are mixed the same way. It just doesn't sound cohesive, really, as an album is supposed to sound. Like, it's supposed to work and sort of be cohesive. But yeah, I don't know. I really needed to take the time and invest the money going somewhere and having someone record these songs for me and maybe produce them in a better way than I'm able. But I'm so against letting someone else's hands touch my work. I'm so anti that, because, like I said earlier, I'm just very, very picky about how something comes out. And if there's any sort of room for me to place blame somewhere else, I will do that. And I don't like that about myself, but I will do that. And if the song comes out in a way that I don't like it, I'm just going to be like, man, this fucking producer, this producer didn't do. I would have done this differently. I would have done a better job myself. I would have liked this better if I had control of these things. But the problem is, I don't have a good producer brain, I don't think. And maybe I do. Maybe I'm selling myself short, because I listen to a lot of Tom Waits that I love, and a lot of Tom Waits music and the way it's recorded, and just you hear things in the background that most other, I think, producers would cut out or get rid of and edit out. But I've not done that. I leave things in, and I'm actually I feel like maybe I'm overthinking it, and I should continue on the path that I'm on of like recording all of the recording all of the instruments myself, and just woodshedding alone in my room like I recorded in the past. I really think that I would make a nice album that way. And I feel like That Way Lies Madness is a good record. But I could have done better production wise. I could have taken some more time with the songs, but I was so excited to get the album released that I was just like, hey guys, I just dropped an album, heads up. And I didn't do any sort of like pre-advertisement or anything. It was just one day I was like, hey guys, this album is live, go listen to it. I got a stuffy nose. Hold on a second. I need that. Sorry. I got a stuffy nose, and my ear just popped after I did that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that shit, where was I at just now? What was I just saying? I lost my train of thought because I was like, I can't breathe out of the side of my nose. I woke up today and I had this weird thing like between the sinuses and the throat, and it's just super dry. You know that feeling that you get right before you're about to get sick, and I'm just afraid I'm going to get sick, and I don't like that. And I don't think there's anything I can do about it. Shit, I feel like I was like right there about to make some monumental point, and I just kind of lost track of what I'm doing. By the way, I walked straight in from work. I haven't eaten any food yet. I haven't refilled my water jug, and I need to do that. I just came straight home from work because I didn't get a chance to record the podcast last night. I streamed instead, and I was like, man, if I can get in the seat recording the podcast before 11:45 and do about 30 or 45 minutes, that'll be a decent episode, and then I can eat food, and that'll still give me enough time to edit the podcast and get it all uploaded and ready to go, and also edit my secret show release for this week and get all of that uploaded. That's usually what I do on Sunday is edit day. I'll usually edit my or upload my my secret show sets and record or get the podcast that I record on Saturday night edited. But since I didn't record the podcast last night, I'm doing all of it in one go. So that being said, this isn't going to be the longest episode ever. I will go for another few minutes. But if I don't know the point that I was getting at earlier before I got distracted, but basically, I just want to be able to. Recording and producing. That's right. I could have done better on my. I could have done better if I would have just waited. But instead, I just said, "Hey guys, there's an album out right now. You can go listen to it. Here it is." But the next time I release something, instead of doing it, just dropping it and trying to get it out as quick as possible, I'm gonna take my time and maybe do like maybe a month of advertisement for the release, and I think that might do better because I stand a better chance of getting added to like playlists on Spotify and such. And I think I would stand a better chance of getting people excited for the work that's coming rather than just being like, okay, here it is. It's like U2 just dropped that album on us and we never forgave them. Like, I didn't ask for this, and I don't want everything. This is different. Everything else in my Apple library is different from this thing. And this thing I do not want, no thank you. But yeah, I maybe I should drum up a little bit of interest in my in the album before it goes live, because I'm not famous enough to just drop something in the middle of the night and then everybody be like, "Whoa, this is great." I want to get to that point, and when I get to that point, I will do that. When I get to that point, you won't know anything's going to come out, and you won't know, there won't be any, guys, the new album from Kelsey Hudgens drops July 15th or whatever day it's going to be. It'll just be that night. It'll go live, and when it goes live, there it will be. I really just, I want to get to that point. But I think to get to that point, I'm going to have to get more comfortable with putting myself out there, or eating some crow and do some things that I swore I wouldn't do. I would always say that I'll never be the guy to go out and be like, "Hey, I'm good, book me." But maybe I need to do that. I don't want to. I just don't want to. And if I get booked, I've already done the cover band thing, and it's just too easy for me. It's too easy for me to do that. And it's not very easy for me to do. It's just not very easy for me to do my original music in a room full of people who aren't there for it. Last night was a cool situation because everybody in that room was there for me, which was nice. So if I know that everybody here, they're on board, they're here to see what it is that I do. And to be honest, they didn't know what to expect because a lot of them didn't know me and hadn't heard me before. In that light anyway. So there's no way that they knew what to expect or knew whether or not they would enjoy it. But I had a really good time with them. And I got to talk a lot between the songs and explain my process of songwriting and explain my thought process in writing individual songs. And the folks were actually paying attention because when the song would be over, like some of them would have like, "Hey, you had this line in here that said this, and this meant something to me." And, or everybody saying like, "Man, I can really relate to that. Like, it's really relatable, this song." And that really made me feel so good. I felt so nice knowing that that someone actually heard the thing that I was trying to say. And to be honest, I've done my original shows before, but opening it up for questions after each song or opening it up for like banter was a really nice thing, and the local sets, the way that they do that is really nice. And they've done a few episodes, but they told me that out of everyone that they had, like I had a lot of like really nice lyrics, and that was like the biggest compliment that I could get, was that that my lyrics were something that stands out, because I kind of write my songs and the music that accompanies them to highlight the lyrics. And we did talk about that a lot, because a lot of people, when they write music, they'll get the riff, they'll get the music going, so they make sure this doesn't sound like anything else sounds. But I do that backwards. I always write the words first. That's how it always starts. Like, there's rarely ever is there like a riff or a piece of music that I play. Sorry, I had to yawn. There's rarely ever a riff or a piece of music that I have that I'm like, this needs lyrics. I want to write lyrics to this thing. That's not really my style. I'll always start off with poetry. Like, it's always just poems to start with, and then I'll read it. And in reading it, depending on your rhyme scheme or the amount of syllables per block, I guess you could say, is like, and that's another thing with songwriting, is like, you don't just need to rhyme the end word with the next line or the corresponding line. It also needs to kind of match in syllables as well. You need to like it needs to fit, and it needs to sound nice and uniform, or else it's, it can quickly become chaos. But depending on how you write your rhyme scheme or whatever, if you read through the lyrics, by the time you get through reading the first verse, it'll almost have its own melody that'll become apparent to you. So in just reading the lyrics, and just like, then the melody will start to come out in your head, and it kind of, the words denote the melody. And I like that. I like that style of songwriting that I personally use. And there's a few other people, I'm sure, that do the same thing, but I've just not heard of it. But yeah, I like to do that a lot. Finding the melody in the lyrics is an easy game to play. So it'll be pretty much to where I will have a complete song with 2 to 3 verses and choruses and a chorus before I even grab an instrument. Usually it's like the song will be complete, and then I'll grab the instrument. And the reason I do that is because a thing that I noted yesterday was that, like, the greatest beat on earth in the 1800s doesn't necessarily slap today. So as far as music goes, everything is on borrowed time. Everything has a time limit. Words do not. Words are not on any sort of time limit. I mean, I guess certain words are, but lyrics are on no time limit. Like, the point that I made yesterday is like, that 1800 song isn't that great, but we can still read William Shakespeare today and get something out of that, because the words are just so beautifully written. And then in that case, if the words are good, that'll withstand the test of time. So if your name is tied to something that is lyrically sound, that will be around for a very long time, then that means you're immortal. That is your way of obtaining immortality or achieving immortality. And that's always been my goal, was to in some way live forever, not physically, because obviously that'd be impossible, but doing these podcasts and having them out in the world forever, out into the ether, in the internet forever. That's a thing. It's a thing that will always be there until the whole thing crashes, and then what do you do? Sorry, I gotta stop yawning. Maybe these yawns are telling me that I need to shut up and go eat some hot dogs and stop holding you folks up from your lives and let you get out there and get on with it. Honestly, I think that is what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna just call this right here. I'm fighting it and forcing it, and I don't like forcing anything. And this whole episode, I believe, has been forced, and I don't like that because I don't think that people like watching someone forcibly try to get a point out. It's just not. It doesn't seem honest. It doesn't seem trustworthy, and that's not the vibe that I want to go for in this show. So I'm just gonna call it here and send you guys. If you want to watch something that actually has substance, the Local Sets ATX episode number 33, featuring me, is a podcast. And I think that is a good thing. That is a good place to go and get some actual meaningful content. Maybe this content is meaningful. Somebody out there may have needed to hear some of this stuff, and I got it out. So there's that. But if you really want to get into my head a little bit and find out a little bit more about my original music and why I write the way that I do, and honestly just see how I write, Local Sets ATX, there's a link in the description. I encourage you guys to watch ASAP. But other than that, guys, I really do need to eat some food. I'm starving. I got this sickness thing, this creeping in. I can just feel my sinuses just draining, and I gotta start coughing it up, but that causes more problems than not. But this is going to be a problem, and I'm probably going to end up being sick next week, and that's not good because I really need to work every day next week to make my fucking hours on my check worth it, because I got shit to pay for, y'all. Good Lord, I got shit to pay for. Speaking of having shit to pay for, if you guys want to tip Frankie, you can do that in the description. If you want to become a member on the YouTube to help out on a monthly basis, or on the Patreon, you can do that with the link in the description as well. Other than that, I'm going to just let you guys go and get on with our lives. Yeah. Go watch Local Sets ATX and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and if you're listening, download the podcast as it comes out and listen to it wherever podcasts are available. And it'll help me out a bunch if you do so. And no matter how many followers you have, if you'll just share this video with them, that would help out even more. So thank you guys so much for being here and being part of this nonsensical rambling. And like I said, go watch Local Sets. Roll Tide, everybody. Night, night.